What's up, everyone? I'm Paco, and this is the Weekend Recap Complete Lineup Edition. In celebration of the complete lineup, you know, the regulars at least, all returning to league play, we're going to look at the top 4 leagues for this Weekend Recap. England, Italy, Spain, and Germany. The gang's all here. Again, thanks to all of you who have donated towards the community fundraiser to help the NAACP LDF fight systemic racism around the world. If you can give, please do. Let's try to smash that goal of $1,000 even before I donate June's revenues from the Weekend Recap, like I promised. But if you can't, link in the description to help without paying. All right, to the Premier League at last. Chelsea had a rough return against Aston Villa, a team that had previously played on Wednesday against Sheffield, you know, the match where Hawkeye goal line technology failed and VAR did nothing to safeguard that failure. But anyways, Villa took the lead in the first half as Douglas Luiz played a brilliant curling ball to the back post, and while the initial attempt was saved by Kepa, Courtney House buried. Cue the most indifferent celebration from John Terry. Still a Chelsea legend. But 2 goals in 1 minute and 54 seconds turned the result around for Chelsea. And for me, Azpilicueta was at the heart of both goals. Well, obviously he was. He assisted both. The first saw him curl a ball to the back post for Pulisic to turn in. Guy had just got on the field 5 minutes earlier. And the second saw Dave Azpilicueta cut it back to Giroud, who swiveled and scored and looked just beautiful doing it. Perhaps not the best striker in the Prem, but he's still pretty damn good, and he's easily the most handsome. 2-1 Chelsea there. Important win to put some distance between themselves and 5th place. Arsenal, they aren't looking too sharp since the return, are they? They lost 3-0 against City, to be expected for the most part, but delivered what has become classic Arsenal up against Brighton, a side that isn't necessarily safe from relegation, or at least they weren't prior to this match against the Gunners. And there's still quite a few matches to go. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, Adrian. Paco. When Maupay collided with Leno, I'm not sure that there was any malice in it, you know, injuring Leno. And if there was, then he was extremely sneaky about it. But that effectively brought Arsenal down. You can't help but feel that Leno would have saved Maupay's winner at the end of the match. And I mean, he kept them in that match against City in the first half, but their problems obviously go beyond goalkeeping. Yes, Pepe scored a great goal, but they lack any sort of clinicality in the attack and any sort of organization at the back. Brighton doing bits for their push for Premier League safety and will likely secure it. Arsenal, I mean, there's a decent chance that they won't even get Europa League after this season, which is shocking stuff. On Friday, Tottenham versus Manchester United went about as you'd expect it to go. Knowing that United struggle when they have to dictate the play and take it to the opposition, Mourinho played a low block and tried to hurt United on the counter, basically what United does when they play against tough opposition. And it was working well for much of the match, at least in the first half. After Bergwijn spun Harry Maguire, as I said on Twitter, he made him look like David Luiz, he exposed De Gea's poor form yet again in ripping a shot off of the keeper's hand and in. It's been a very, very poor last 18 months for De Gea as far as accumulation of goalkeeping errors is concerned. Yes, he does make the important save now and then, just as he did against Spurs when he diverted a strike over the bar in the first half, but with the amount of errors he makes, there will definitely be a bit of a decision for Solskjaer ahead of next season, especially with how well the on-loan Dean Henderson has done at Sheffield United. United fans, De Gea or Henderson? Who do you want to see in between the sticks? Speaking of Sheffield, by the way, after getting robbed against Villa, they were smacked by Newcastle. Yes, Steve Bruce's men took full advantage of Sheffield's John Egan getting sent off in the 50th minute, scoring 3 goals in what remained of the match. Another assist for Miguel Almiron, a goal and an assist for Matt Ritchie, the Tyneside Messi, and a goal for Joelinton. Wolves, how good did they look against, well, West Ham, who have been poor for quite some time now, but regardless, Wolves have plenty of ways to hurt you, the most obvious of which being the tandem of Raul Jimenez, who scored, and Adama Traore, who was a problem all match long. He has the pace to beat almost anyone in a sprint, the muscle to hold almost anyone off, and the foot skills to dribble out of cul-de-sacs. What a player he is. After subbing on in the 64th, he set up the first goal while Matt Doherty's ball to the back post was hit as cleanly as you'd like by Pedro Neto. 2-0 the final for Wolves. Watford. They got an extremely important point in their match against Leicester, a late thriller there. After Ben Chilwell put Leicester ahead with a beautiful goal in the 90th minute, Dawson put Watford back on level terms in the 93rd minute with a cheeky bicycle kick. Watford need points, and this may not be enough to propel them to safety as they are 1 point above relegation with a few matches to go, but plenty of time for anything to happen. By the way, another team flirting with relegation is of course Bournemouth, and they hosted Crystal Palace, but Crystal Palace took the win, 2-0. Milivojevic, the legend, Crystal Palace legend, with the opener, and Jordan Ayew with the insurance goal. Hey, all you fakes looking to qualify for Europa League, you better watch your back. Because my man Roy Hodgson is within touching distance, and he doesn't care who he has to take out along the way. Liverpool versus Everton, with City beating Arsenal. There was no chance of Liverpool securing the Premier League title at Goodison Park. Less exciting for some, and for the rest of us, watching the match itself wasn't so exciting. A fairly boring match, I gotta say, unless you love watching the defense of the respective teams, for the most part canceling out the attack of the respective teams. Very eloquent, Paco. For me, the most entertaining part of this match came before the match had started, as Sadio Mane was clearly chomping at the bit to get football going again after months of lockdown, and raced down the Everton half after Mike Dean, a stunning bearded Mike Dean, had blown the whistle to begin the tribute to the Black Lives Matter movement, everyone kneeling and Sadio racing forward. No, but in the 79th minute, Everton had a great attack that saw Calvert-Lewin drag the ball towards Alisson, and Tom Davies hit the post from an open net. Poor from him. That was probably the best chance of the match, though Richarlison came close at the end as well, as he sent a strike off of Alisson's chest. Basically, as soon as Lovren came on for Matip, Liverpool looked poor at the back, and he was exposed twice. And Liverpool have now won just 2 of their last 6 matches across all competitions. All right. Table time. At the bottom of the table, alarm bells will be ringing for all involved, and you can see how spooky life is for Watford and co, as Brighton are now 4 points ahead of them. In the Europa race, Wolves are now level with United, looking for that Champions League spot, while Chelsea are putting more distance between themselves and the chasing pack for that final Champions League spot. With Bayern having claimed their 8th consecutive league title already with a win over Werder Bremen on Tuesday, the most interesting part of the table becomes the race for the European places. By the way, Bayern played and won once again in a match where they gave some opportunities to their youngsters, and yet by the time the half was up, there was a familiar sight. Robert Lewandowski scoring once again, twice. Again, actually, notching his 32nd and 33rd goals of this Bundesliga season. Give him the Ballon d'Or if Bayern win the Champions League. You gotta. Elsewhere, Labadia and Hertha Berlin got back to winning after 3 straight losses. And what a team for them to beat as well, as they won 2-0 against Bayer Leverkusen. That's a big blow to Bayer Leverkusen's Champions League ambitions, especially when coupled with Borussia Mönchengladbach winning over SC Paderborn. A 3-1 win for Marco Rose and the boys, as a brace from Lars Stindl led them past the Basement Boys. The Basement Kings, actually, as Paderborn locked down last place last week. No one else can touch it. Köln, my boys, they have truly free-fallen since the return of the Bundesliga, as they are still yet to win a match, as they drew against Eintracht Frankfurt 1-1. Big shout out to Frankfurt, who have been on a surge since the return, winning 4, drawing twice, and losing twice. That's solid in comparison to their pre-COVID form. Speaking of trash form though, FC Schalke, wow, they ought to be happy that they aren't playing in front of their fans, as they are still yet to win a match since the return of football in Germany, and they lost once again this weekend in a 4-1 drubbing from Wolfsburg. And of course, Borussia Dortmund took on RB Leipzig in what should have been a potential title deciding match, but Dortmund blew it again this season, long ago. However, RB Leipzig were the ones who blew it in this match, as Timo Werner was largely ineffectual and nobody else stepped up to the plate. Upamecano also had a forgettable match at the back alongside Klostermann, and mistakes at the back allowed Erling Haaland to score a brace to take his Bundesliga scoring record up to 13 on the season. 2 solid goals, solid build-up play, and final balls from Brandt and Gio Reyna to set him up. So, with 1 match remaining, here's where things stand in Germany. At the bottom of the table, Werder Bremen's only hope now is for the relegation playoff match, as they will need to defeat Köln at home, doable, and hope that Fortuna Düsseldorf lose away to Union Berlin. There's still a chance for Werder. At the other end, Leipzig just need a draw away to Augsburg to secure the top 4, while Gladbach play Hertha at home. That's a tough match for them, while Leverkusen take on Mainz. So it's still all to play for there as well. Banya continued on, and looking just at this weekend's results, we've got quite the title race on our hands, boys. On Friday, Barcelona, they really looked quite poor against Sevilla, and I mean, you got to ask a couple of questions of Setien. It's not all on the players. Sure, Griezmann hasn't been spectacular for Barcelona. He's been poor, actually, I'd say. But neither he nor Ansu Fati on the pitch at the start makes Barcelona's already streaky attack look even less inspiring. Rakitic is starting. Why is he on there when you have Artur on the bench? Just some weird choices. Then he gets desperate and throws Piqué up front at the end of the match. Yes, I know they beat Mallorca 4-0 and Leganés 2-0, but those are 2 of the 3 bottom teams in the league. Anyway, they tied 0-0 with Sevilla, which left the door wide open for Real Madrid to go level on points with them and ahead of them on the table, thanks to head-to-head. But that's for editor Adrian to talk about later, as that's yet another match from Spain that is going on too late for me. I gotta film. I gotta start passing this on to editor Adrian. Atletico Madrid, after getting a nice win over Osasuna, in which my guy João Felix scored a brace, they took on Real Valladolid, and again they looked lively and willing to attack. And decent in the attack. They had some good build-up play in this match. Atletico, that is. Marcos Llorente is making Simeone look like a genius for playing him in a more advanced role, but it was the substitute Vitolo who scored the winner for Atletico, which was set up by the substitute Diego Costa. 1-0 Atletico, 2 wins on the trot. Looking much better, looking like they'll take their rightful place on the table. Celta Vigo were the big winners of the weekend as they smashed Deportivo Alaves 6-0. Gotta feel for Alaves as they can't seem to keep 11 men on the pitch. Last weekend, their keeper came out and handled the ball outside of the box, looking like a basketball player. And this week, Martin was sent off in the 27th minute for a bad foul when Deportivo were already 2 goals down, man. 6-0. Considering their proximity to the relegation zone, that's a massive win for Celta. Alaves, they could be in trouble if this sort of thing continues, but I mean, they're still 9 points above the drop, so they should be fine. Villarreal versus Granada. 2 teams that were nearly on top of each other in the standings went head-to-head, with Villarreal getting the victory from an early Gerard Moreno goal, very much against the run of play, as Granada looked the more dangerous team throughout, in my opinion. But a big win for Villarreal, as they're looking for Europa, baby. Speaking of so many Reals, La Real. Real Sociedad took on Real Madrid in my most anticipated match of the weekend. Take it away, editor Adrian.
Editor Adrian here. An interesting match for Real Sociedad. If not quite unfortunate, as there was a ton of controversy, but ultimately, I do believe the right calls were made. Real Madrid went ahead via a Sergio Ramos penalty. That's 7 goals in the league for him, which means that he's actually in second as far as La Liga goals go. He's 10 behind Karim Benzema. Now, Real Sociedad did level, but it was called back due to offside. This is one of those situations where the attacker who was offside doesn't touch the ball, so you're thinking, hey, it's got to count, right? But since he was obstructing the view of the keeper, then it's offside. I mean, you hate to see it for us La Real supporters, which is everyone that has ever watched a Rabona TV video. All of you are included. What you hate to see even more is when it goes from 1-1 to 2-0, with another goal that seemed controversial upon first view, but after seeing alternate angles, I didn't want to believe it, but it looks like it hit Benzema's shoulder, so the goal stands. You gotta count it. A shoulder is not a handball. So La Real did pull one back, but Real Madrid get the 2-1 win. So that means Real Madrid is on top for now on head-to-head, and look who's in third. Atletico Madrid, they're back up there. Real Sociedad dropped down to 7th for the time being, though they have a completely identical record to Villarreal, and identical goals scored and conceded. Very weird, but that's it from me. Back to Paco, the star of Rabona TV. Let's be real.
Thank you, Editor Adrian. Paco here again. We'll get back to Editor Adrian shortly. But let's talk Serie A. After Napoli defeated Juve on penalties in the Coppa Italia final, the Serie A returned on Saturday, the 20th, with 2 matches on Saturday and 2 matches on Sunday. What happened? Well, in Saturday's action, it was actually from round 25, the round from the end of February, and saw Torino versus Parma play out a 1-1 draw, while Hellas Verona took on Cagliari at home. That match was quite impressive from Verona's side of things, as they were 2-0 up after 26 minutes, and then Fabio Borini got himself sent off in the 34th minute. Before the half was up, Cagliari scored through Gio Simeone to make it 2-1 and throw some pressure on Verona, but they squandered their advantage when Cagliari accumulated 2 yellows in 12 minutes, and they were odds even on the pitch, 10v10, just 35 minutes after Borini had been sent off. So despite that, and despite Cagliari dominating, Hellas Verona held on for a 2-1 win and stayed within touching distance of a Europa League spot. This Hellas Verona team, they're really flying under the radar for a lot of people. Pay attention, guys. Atalanta, pay attention to them. I'll be releasing a video on them tomorrow because, man, you gotta watch these guys. During a season where the top teams have struggled to play some entertaining, free-scoring football, Atalanta have filled that void brilliantly, and it was as if the COVID break didn't affect them one bit. Playing against Sassuolo, they put the ball into the back of the net 5 times in the first half alone, though one was called back for offside, and the other one was called back for an unfortunate handball in the build-up to the goal. Off of the face and then off of the hand, sort of like a type of thing. So it was only 3-0 at the half, but then they scored in the second half, a 4th goal on the night, and the second from Duvan Zapata. Burabia scored at the end for Sassuolo, who, let's be clear, despite the gulf in the scoreline at 4-1, they really weren't that poor. Atalanta is just an incredible attacking team, which again, I'll highlight in that video tomorrow. Atalanta, officially the Italian team of the weekend recap. There, I said it. I'm sorry, Lazio, but we stand Gasparini and Atalanta here, all right? Forget Adrian. Paco's calling the shots. All right. Again, forget Adrian. Editor Adrian, take us through the Inter result and the table as things stand. All I've seen so far is a glorious goal from Lautaro, Lukaku, and Eriksen, all combining. Great interplay between the latter two. Lautaro looked especially sharp in the early stages of this match. Anyways, Editor Adrian will take over.
Me again. So after that beautiful goal, Lautaro Martinez scored a second beautifully worked goal for Inter. Great vision from Lukaku to drop that soft, slotted pass into the path of Kendreva, who squared to Lautaro. Very unselfish of him. 2-0 Inter. Sampdoria scored 1 in the second half, but 1 was all they could manage. 2-1 Inter was the final, and now everyone has played 26 matches. They finished that round. So what does it look like after 26 matches, you ask? Well, Editor Adrian is here to provide, and I will show you that Juventus has a 1-point lead over Lazio, and they have a 5-point lead, they being Lazio, on Inter. So there's still time for Atalanta to win this thing, man. A 12-match winning streak is incoming, and they're gonna get that Serie A. They're gonna get that Scudetto. Okay? Easy peasy. I need to get an Atalanta jersey. I know that Atalanta sends jerseys to all of the newborn babies in Bergamo, but what about new fans in Montreal? Huh? Send one to Adrian. Well, send one to Paco, the real star of this show.
All right, my friends, thanks again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video and have enjoyed all of the football that has been going on lately. Thank you for spending your time watching this video, and I'll see you soon, tomorrow actually, for a good look at Atalanta. I'm Adrian, I love you, and see you soon. Bye.